How's everyone doing? Adrian OTAP here. E pluribus OTAP. Out of many, me. I am America, and you can be too. Today we are modeling, if you will, the 30 Years of Perfection Glock Anniversary shirt, 1986 to 2016. And of course, the ever-present stainless steel Glock drinking vessel. A little something courtesy of Big Boys Guns and Ammo. That was, of course, one of the prizes I won one month at a Glock Shooting Sports Foundation match that they had there at their fine facility. So with that being said, we'll roll on into the meat and potatoes of this, which is open carry laws in Oklahoma. The reason why we're talking about this is because recently in one of the online forums that I'm a member of, or I take part in, the Oklahoma Open Carry Association, there was a person who had recently joined the discussion group online on the Facebook and asked the following question. He says, serious question, can we open carry into Walmart? I read that Walmart has banned open carry in their stores, but I yet have seen a no guns allowed sign or anything specifying no firearms. So apologies for misspellings and grammar. I read that verbatim. But, that's basically the question. Can we open carry in Walmart in Oklahoma? I have to throw that caveat of in Oklahoma there because, well, that's where I am. That's where he is. It's the Oklahoma Open Carry Association. So we're only going to be talking about the laws that specifically govern the state of Oklahoma. With that being said, we're talking about Title 21, the Oklahoma Self-Defense Act. This is the law right here. This is the book. This is the 2019 or current edition. As a SDA instructor, I get one of these in the mail every year in late October, early November. It's it's a wonderful little perk of all the money that I've given to the state of Oklahoma to be a licensed instructor. But hey, look, if you can zoom in, there's your QR code and URL there. So if you don't have a tangible physical paper copy, you can go to the OSBI's website, get to the PDF, download it, look at it at your leisure. Just do a web search of SDA law book. It'll take you right there. Absolutely, I always encourage people to do their own due diligence to read the law. If you know what the law says, you're a lot less likely to break the law. And staying out of jail is the goal. It's great to have lawyers out there that are good at getting you out of jail, but you need to stay out of jail in the first place. So read it yourself. Understand what it says. Don't just take people's word for it. Granted, I'm not here to lie to you or mislead you, but don't just take even my word for it. All right, moving on. Walmart is not a statutorily prohibited location in Oklahoma, which means as of November 1st of last year, it is legal for you to carry handguns, rifles, long guns, shotguns, firearms, openly or concealed, into any place that's not a statutorily prohibited location. I mean, granted, there are some other specifics there, when you get into things like, government buildings, schools, places that have alcohol licenses. But again, most of these places, again, they are going to be statutorily prohibited. While Walmart is not one. Now, we do have state preemption in Oklahoma, which means that one, a private establishment's policies do not trump state law, nor do city or municipal ordinances trump state law. In fact, the state preemption in Oklahoma is such that municipalities are not allowed to even come up with ordinances that contradict state law as far as where you can and can't carry handguns. For instance, public parks. State law says you can carry guns in a public park. That means that it's illegal for insert city within Oklahoma to even think about putting an ordinance on their books saying within our city limits you cannot do so at one of our parks. It would be completely unlawful. It won't hold up. And of course we do have cities in Oklahoma that try to do these things, but that's when lawyers come out. They let them know that they are in the wrong and these things get corrected. So as part of the question, he did mention that he heard that Walmart had changed their policy, or that their policy is that they're banning open carry of firearms. This is true. It was a big thing in the news after our last mass shooting, whenever that was. Walmart and a number of other places, they said, okay, well, some places just said you can't have them at all. Walmart said, we don't want you to open carry. Here's a couple things to keep in mind. Even if they have a sign or not, signs are not backed by force of law in Oklahoma. If you go to a place that has a no gun sign and you walk in anyway, you're not breaking the law. Keep that in mind. If they do have a sign, it's pretty much a heads up letting you know that someone will possibly interact with you to say, hey buddy, we'd like you to leave. And that means get off their premises or go secure your firearm in your car in the parking lot, lock it up, come back in without the firearm. Absolutely imperative that you comply with their wishes and requests when someone verbally requests that you go. If you do not, that's when you are breaking the law. You are trespassing at that point. The police will show up, they will take you away, it will not be good. You'll get a fine, you'll get a ding on your record, it'll be a misdemeanor, but still, you don't want to be a lawbreaker. These things can come back to haunt you. Now, I have it on good authority. I do not work for Walmart, but I know people who do. Walmart's corporate policy, of course, what they tell management, basically if they do see people open carrying, not approach them. Unless they are causing some sort of trouble or commotion, they're not going to bother you. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Of course, they still, it's up to them. It's whatever the management of that store wants to do, whatever the associates want to do. If they ask you to go, by all means, get on out of there. Now, what does open carry mean in Oklahoma? That means you are, well, it's the opposite of concealed, obviously, but as far as the law is concerned, basically, here's the rule of thumb. If any part of the firearm is visible, if it's readily visible, then it is open. It doesn't matter if it's fully visible. You can only see a piece of it peeking out. If you can see any of it and go, that is a gun, then you're open carry. Okay. Now we're not talking about printing. We're not talking about you have an in-waistband holster. You have a shirt on top of it. You turn a certain way, and people can see the silhouette of your handgun. That is not open carrying. That is still concealed because they can't see it. There's what I like to call openly concealed, aka sneaky Pete holsters. Things that look like fanny packs or leather phone cases, but are actually holsters for handguns. Again, it completely covers the handgun. It obscures it from view. It is concealed. You cannot look at that and say, hey, that is a gun. Even if you have a handgun in a sock, or you put it in a Crown Royal bag, you put it in a fanny pack, you zip it up, it's closed, you cannot see the handgun. It's completely out of view, that would be concealed. Okay, with that being said, when you open carry in Oklahoma, you must absolutely are required by law to do so using a sling, scabbard, or holster that is designed for the purpose of carrying a handgun or a long gun. It has to be designed for carrying firearms. So the example I like to use about this of something that would be a no-go is for anybody that's had military experience. There are the guys that, you go out to the range, you don't have a sling issued to you. So what do? You get creative, you get some 550 cord, you tie some of it around one end around the barrel, you tie another end on the buttstock, you've made yourself a sling. That is not going to cut it under Oklahoma law, okay? It has to be a sling that is actually designed for the purpose of carrying the firearm. It has to be a holster. It has to be a scabbard. What does that mean? It means you can't just have a gun sticking, into the back of your waistband or your pants. You can't just stick it in your pocket if any of it is visible. What about Techniclips? This is a question I get a lot. What is a Techniclip? It is a small piece of metal that basically attaches to the side of a firearm that allows you to clip it onto a waistband, onto inside of a belt. And here's an example of one. We have a Ruger LC9. It has a Techniclip mounted on there. You can see that. As you can see, the firearm is unloaded and empty. No rounds chambered, but that is your Techniclip there, folks. It's it's pretty sturdy stuff. So again, with this, you would have to use this for concealment. It's if you don't have an in-waistband holster, and I would not recommend these for full-size handguns. I've worked with a number of law enforcement professionals, officers that have used firearms with Technic clips, usually 9mm or smaller. A lot of 380s like LCPs or M&P Bodyguard 380s, things like that. So I mean, great for backup guns if you have 380s or smaller. I definitely would not recommend a Techniclip for a Glock simply because there's no mechanical safety on a Glock. I would not recommend something you just shove in your pants that allows your trigger well to be accessible to whoever knows what's in there. So with that, you would have to cover it up. You would have to untuck your shirt. You'd have to wear a long shirt to cover it up. You'd have to have a jacket on, something to conceal it fully. It's at whatever point that something like this will become displayed, it becomes open carry, and you're not in a sling, scabbard, or holster designed for that purpose, and now you're looking at an infraction. So there you have it, folks. There is the skinny, if you will, on whether or not you can open carry in Walmart. And this doesn't just apply to Walmart. We're talking about basically any private establishment in Oklahoma that does not have a license to dispense alcohol. That's when you get something that will affect this. Also, we're not talking about any property that's owned or operated by a public trust or a nonprofit entity. Such public trusts or nonprofits, after November 1st of last year of 2019, it has gone to concealed carry only at such places. And of course, the alcohol issue, as brought into the limelight by the now infamous Timothy Harper incident of November 2nd of 2019, you cannot take the way it reads is basically any offensive weapon other than a handgun, if you have a handgun license, into a place, an establishment licensed to dispense alcohol, that is a felony. Okay, so I would suggest doing your due diligence and your research there as well before you go to any such establishments. Again, there are so many places that you might not even know has a quote-unquote liquor license here in Oklahoma, especially since the alcohol modernization law of the modernization of our alcohol laws back in 2018. We have a variety of different types of alcohol licenses, particularly the complimentary beverage license, which means places like nail salons and barber shops, furniture stores, tailoring establishments. They can have a license that will allow them to just give you for free X number of complimentary alcoholic beverages, and that is sufficient to be considered a license to dispense alcohol. So you might not know that when you're taking your wife or your daughter, or maybe even yourself, to the nail salon to get a foot massage or a pedicure or whatever, that you could potentially be committing a felony if you are carrying without a license under the permitless carry provisions that are currently in effect with the Oklahoma Self-Defense Act. So absolutely do your homework. And again, getting back to the signage, I'm not going to say always respect it because it's not backed by force of law. If you are carrying concealed, it is a lot harder for them to ask you to leave for something that they don't know that you have in the first place. It's not necessarily, you're not going to necessarily see every place put up a sign. Even if there is no sign, it is private property rights, okay? They still will retain the right to ask you to leave at any time. If that happens, once again, comply with their wishes. Get up, go, secure your weapon in your car, put it in the parking lot. Oklahoma state law does absolutely give you the right and the ability to keep your firearm in a locked car in a parking lot and in all manner of places. Again, here's the book. Look it up. It'll tell you exactly what all these places are. That is the most important thing. Be forearmed with knowledge, folks. Knowledge is power. All right. Again, I'm Adrian Otap, and I hope this has been helpful on the topic of some questions that people commonly ask when it comes to openly carrying their firearms in Oklahoma. So that's it. Otap out.